All right, gentlemen, it is May, so you know what that means.
Terrible Justin Timberlake memes?
Yeah, that's actually unfortunately true. But that's not exactly what I'm thinking about.
Come on, Nate. It's my birthday. It's my 21st birthday.
Well, this is also true. But other than the meetup at Star Wars Celebration, where we are throwing a party for you there, I'm not sure of the relevance.
Yeah.
True.
What
So
are you talking about? Yeah.
Oh, well, it's the craziest Star Wars month in a very long time, and we're kicking it off on this episode with some conversation about May the 4th be with you. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
It is.
Yes,
Congratulations, BB Nate. You're done with all your finals.
Hey, good job.
Samuel the Hutt. How many more do we have?
2.
So what does that mean for you after recording tonight?
Studying.
And then what does that mean tomorrow?
More studying.
And what does that mean Wednesday?
Finish a project.
And then?
Then I'm done.
Then you're done, and we'll watch Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and start the prep for Star Wars Celebration.
Celebration, baby.
Good. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer and the director of the greatest Star Wars movie ever made, The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of this generation, that there is a story. It is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story. And that is why we are talking about May the 4th be with you. The shocking ending to episode 5 of Moon Knight and the upcoming finale, which is awesome. We watched that trailer just before this. And then some concerns about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
It's premiering tonight.
It is.
The red carpet.
I'll have to watch some of it after this. Yeah.
I am David.
Cool.
I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
I am honored to be joined every week by my 2 amazing sons, BB Nate.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm super worried about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
Yeah.
Super worried?
Well, super because
Are you just saying super because it's a superhero? Okay.
That was good. I like
All
that.
right. Samuel the Hutt.
Yeah, I don't think that episode went the way anybody expected it to go.
No, we spent a lot more time in the asylum than I thought we were going to.
Yeah.
Which I was hoping for that, and they gave it to me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Dad?
Did you know that the original use of the phrase "May the 4th be with you" was celebrating a completely different date?
How? It literally is May.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. We definitely appreciate you guys jumping in.
Y'all the best.
Yes.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Please follow the show on whatever podcast app you're listening to it on. If you don't have a podcast app of choice, you can check out Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one super audio app for iOS and Android, which picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment, reads them to you in a natural human voice. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. Friday's interview episode was a lot of fun. It's one of those where I just basically say hi and then I don't have to talk for 35
Those
minutes.
are the best.
Those are great interviews. I appreciate those. It was with the Luke Skywalker super cosplayer, Fluke Skywalker.
That's clever.
He's amazing. It was such a fun and one of the coolest guys in Star Wars fandom. About what he's all about. I can't wait for you guys to hear that episode on Friday. We've got more announcements we got to get through here. So thanks for your patience. We have a Star Wars Day bonus episode coming out on May the 4th on Wednesday, and it is going to be you as the stars of this. We've had numerous messages from you guys with audio files saying what you love about about The Last Jedi. And so that episode is going to be very little of me and all you talking about why you love The Last Jedi. It's been a lot of fun to check out. And then speaking of The Last Jedi, Saturday, May 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be hosting The Last Jedi watch party on streamlounge.io. There's a link in the show notes to go in there and get that downloaded and signed up so you can log in and watch this and join along with us. It's going to be a ton of fun. Last announcement, Star Wars Celebration meetup is going to be at Biggs Fullerton. We're going to Celebration. We want to see you if you're going to be there. So Wednesday night before the festivities officially kick off, join us on the 45th anniversary of the release of the Star Wars Super Saga.
That's cool.
With
Super
that,
Saga?
it works for me.
Saga.
Biggs Fullerton. It's also Sam's 21st birthday celebration.
Happy birthday, Sam.
And so feel free to buy him a drink. No, please don't. Him being hungover all celebration is not something we
already
want.
get sick after
so we're
celebration
not gonna do that. That was just a joke because you're gonna be in a meetup with a bunch of crazy Star Wars fans and it's his 21st birthday. So please don't get my son drunk.
I'll be the bouncer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's going to be part of the massive Bunta Eve Cantina with Misty Rosas, who's the performance artist for Quill in The Mandalorian Season 1 and Frog Lady in Season 2. Of course, Dominic Pace, Gecko from The Mandalorian, is going to be there. Leilani and Ariel Shui, Jawas from The Mandalorian, are there. Kevin Thompson, who played Chubway in Return of the Jedi. Tim Donaldson, who was a Jawa in A New Hope. I see a trend here. Eric Walker, who played Mace Tawani in Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure, which I guess there's 2 Maces in the Star Wars universe. Did not know that. I don't know. Is Caravan of Courage considered canon?
It's
I don't think
Disney Plus, but
it would be really
in that Star Wars.
It would be really weird to be sitting there having a conversation with a guy that starred in a television or a movie about Star Wars that's not canon, while we named a canon Star Wars creature. That would be kind of weird. Anyway, plus many of your favorite podcasts and Star Wars content creators are going to be there. It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be a party.
It's going to be lit. I don't know.
Wow.
That
was rough.
I was old.
That was hard to listen to.
I'm really old. All right. Anyway, let's just move on. Stop talking about what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about what we're talking about now. Did you know, I think I teased this a little bit earlier, that the first use of the phrase, "May the Fourth be with you," was actually used in 1978 by newspapers to recognize the 4th of July.
All right, that's acceptable.
But today, May the 4th is almost a national holiday, at least for nerds like us.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
They're switching it to like a Star Wars month now. Some people are considering like Star Wars month. They're not saying May the 4th be with you. This is the May.
Well, it stands to reason with all the stuff that's happening this month.
Yeah.
That segue was smooth.
It was good.
That was great,
good,
y'all.
That was awesome.
Good job.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this amazing day, May the 4th, and kind of what is the big deal with Star Wars Day? Star Wars Day has become, like I think I teased earlier, almost an unofficial holiday. It's like the first day of March Madness, or the Monday after the Super Bowl, where people like take times off work in order to do this. Nate, why do you think that May the 4th has become such a massive phenomenon?
Well, just like how Star Wars has become such a massive phenomenon, the fan base has grown insane amounts. I think that Star Wars has the biggest fan base.
That wouldn't. Well,
I think it's either Star Wars or Marvel.
I think probably Marvel at this point.
But they're very close to each other, and I feel like Star Wars is more passionate in both good and bad ways. But they're very passionate about this, and so they take a day to remember the time that it's really important to them, and the whole world, even Star Wars themselves, has like whole sales and product releases
absolutely.
On this day, game announcements and everything. They make it a huge deal too. So it's just become a phenomenon because of the fan base, really.
Yeah, I mean, everything about Star Wars has grown. Celebration was held in like, what was it, like Denver, Colorado? Just like this tiny little thing. And now look at what it is. Star Wars itself was supposed to be a flop, and now look what happened to it. So even just a day created by the fans like Celebration is going to blow up too. And since it's a cultural phenomenon, like it has influenced just cultures around the world, it makes sense that there would be a day dedicated to it, even if it is one that fans made up.
Yeah, it's funny you were talking about Star Wars Celebration in '99. I know that that's not what this is about, but I just learned this weekend that Adam Lance Garcia, our friend from Condé Nast, and we had him on the show several times, and one of the coolest guys in Star Wars as well. Kind of like us. No, I'm just kidding. He actually got to go to, I don't know if he's been to every celebration since, but he was at the very first Star Wars celebration in 1999. His dad found out about it and got them on a plane. You know, he lives in New York.
Yeah.
Got him on a plane and took him out there to Star Wars Celebration.
That's cool.
That's so cool.
With it. I read that and I was just like, I saw that tweet. I was like, well, I love that guy. All right. I love his dad now as well. With that, Sam, do you think that because May the 4th is an unofficial holiday and should be an official holiday, do you think that college professors are being ridiculous by scheduling finals on this day?
Absolutely. I think I should find like a way to get like a religious exemption or something. You know,
you're a full-fledged member of the Church of the Force.
Church of the Force. Yes. Right. This is our major holiday. I can't take a final.
This is like
today,
Yom Kippur for Star Wars.
Right. Exactly.
That's almost really sacrilegious.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's going down. This is terrible. Almost as bad as Avengers Passion Play.
Oh, nothing is as bad as that.
No, I think it's. I think if once it becomes recognized as an official holiday, which it will, it's going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
Then they would be crazy. But at the moment,
whenever Kanye becomes president, right?
You think he's going to enact it? That's his
Honestly,
first.
It wouldn't surprise me.
when Elon buys the White House.
Right.
Wait, no, that already happened in 2016. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Moving on.
We should probably do that. All right. Disney Gallery, The Book of Boba Fett. We don't know anything more about this special other than it releases on May the 4th, and it's expected to follow the same format that the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian shows followed. Now, season 1 of the Mando version was a full season of episodes, and season 2 was really just a single special. So I'll come back to you, Sam, because everyone knows, that if they're listening to this, they've listened to this before. You're the big Boba Fett fan here.
This is true.
Which is a higher priority for you, this Boba Fett special or the finale of Moon Knight?
I gotta say Moon Knight, just because.
Whoa.
Well, this is. I mean, I find behind the scenes stuff cool, but it's not like I gotta see it. You know, if it were an extra episode of the series, then that'd be different. But it's just some behind the scenes stuff. Exactly. Will I watch it eventually? Almost certainly, and I'm gonna love it. But at this point, Moon Knight's priority.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just Moon Knight. I have to say, I'm not as big of a Boba Fett Sam as Sammy is, and I think that the behind the scenes stuff would be cool to see. But it's probably just gonna be more of the same. From Mandalorian, at least on the technical side. It will tell a lot of the story of Boba Fett coming to be, but we kind of got that in the Under the Mask short that they did. Under the helmet,
yeah,
yes,
that's true.
that they did. So I'm not sure what the special is going to be like, but I am pumped for Moon Knight. So,
all right, BB Nate, do you think that this will be a single show or multiple episodes?
It has to be single. They can't draw it out over multiple. They don't have enough. I mean, when it happened with why the second season of Mandalorian was one episode is because the first season they had to explain all of this new technology. The volume was something that's never been thought of before. And so they had to go through that. And then they had to explain making a new universe, making a universe outside of the Skywalker saga, making this new character, bringing in Grogu, bringing in all of these people and connecting it to the larger story. It was hard to do. So they had to make a whole season for it. And so, yeah, this has to be one special. They'd have no more to do than that.
Yeah, I agree with Nate. I think he hit all the right points there. I think it's going to be one episode. I think they'll talk about why they thought it was important to make the series and how they wanted to treat the character of Boba Fett, and also how it's going to tie in and how it tied into The Mandalorian, because it is kind of like an offshoot of that movie or of that series. So I think that's what 90% of it's going to be, because Nathan's right. You know, the technological side of it's been discussed. So it's more about why they decided to do what they did with this beloved character.
Okay. That's cool. This year is unique when it comes to Star Wars Day because Star Wars Celebration has been pushed to the end of May. In 2017, 2019, Celebration was actually in April with that. So, BB Nate, I'll start with you. Do you think... Yes. All right. Yes. Do you think that Star Wars Day is actually going to be overshadowed this year because of Celebration coming at the end of the month?
I don't think so. I think that the fact is... Star Wars Day is a big deal to celebrate Star Wars, but we haven't ever really gotten many big announcements or anything like that during Star Wars Day. So I think that it's going to be reserved for Celebration like it is every year. Every 2 years now. So I think that that's what we're going to be focusing on when we're coming to announcements. I think May the 4th is just a day for us to celebrate it. Kind of like Rebels Remembered Day. That's become a huge deal in the Star Wars community.
Yeah.
But there's no announcements they make on Rebels Remembered Day. I mean, even Star Wars kind of recognizes it now. So, but we're not expecting another whole announcement of a new sequel series for Rebels on that day, even though a lot of us would like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two are very separate. Star Wars Day, it is a fan recognized thing. Star Wars, they recognize it, but they don't really do anything with it very often. I mean, they are releasing a couple of series here, but nothing major, So I think the two will still remain separate, and there's enough time between the two that I don't think they're going to like overlap too much or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, they did do something big with it in 2020. Fans were given a really big treat on Star Wars Day with the finale of the Clone Wars and the premiere, the live episode of the first of our Facebook Watch platform shows that we did.
That's
I don't know
true.
if you guys remember that. But anyway, do you think we're going to, we've kind of alluded to it, but do you guys, either of you, I'll start with you, Sam, do you think we get any surprise announcements this year, or are they holding all those back for Anaheim?
Yeah, I guess that's where it could get overshadowed by Celebration. I don't think they're going to really make any announcements on May the 4th, just because, like you said, it is close to Celebration. So I'm not really sure what they would announce here that they wouldn't want to announce at Celebration. Maybe they tease something here. Maybe like, there's this new game project being made or something, details to come at Celebration. Something to that effect, but I don't think they full on reveal anything yet.
If anything, it'll be maybe a Fallen Order 2 announcement, since we don't have anything for that at Celebration. If you look at the panels, there's nothing even for like a game panel or anything. So that could be it. And also with the leaks and rumors starting to come out recently of Fallen Order and its specs and what it's going to be on and everything, I could see it happening, but that's really it. I don't think we get many announcements because there is a lot they need to hold back for Anaheim. And I think it's just more of a celebration of Star Wars on May the 4th.
Yeah, and I think that the difference is you get 50,000 fans at Celebration and some watching on streaming.
Exactly.
Star Wars Day is for
the world,
hundreds of millions of fans all around the world. So it's a very different experience. I think you guys are right on that. All right, last question, really quick. I'll start with you, Sam. Do we get a new Kenobi trailer?
How long has it been since the last one?
Like a month and a half.
Well, but then again, the show comes out in like a couple of weeks. So I think so. I think that'd be a good day to release it. And that's it. Maybe some TV spots closer to time like they always do. But I think a new trailer kind of giving us a little bit more info as to the plot of the series is what they usually do with that second trailer. I think that'd be a great day to release it.
I think that it's possible, but not necessary. I think that if they want to just have one trailer for this series, they very well could. They don't need to hype up the series any more than it already is. A lot of people are very excited for this series. And I think that even with Moon Knight, they waited a while to release the second trailer before it. So I think that it's possible that they could release another one, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
I think we get one. I think that that's the way to do something like this for the millions of Star Wars fans around the world that aren't going to be able to go to Star Wars Celebration. It's a way for them to experience this.
It'll give the community something to talk about.
It will. And if so, we'll talk about it on here. I'd actually be shocked if we don't get that final trailer, but who knows what other little surprises the Force may have in store.
Very true. Very true.
That'll be it. That's good.
Good segment, Dad.
Thanks, guys.
It's been a while since you've led it.
It is.
Yeah.
It felt good. We're gonna do Star Wars all month. We're gonna lead Star Wars for the entire month of May because this is the May. Yeah, this is the May. All right. This is the May. All right. I guess we have bad news coming up here. And there's some bad news about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's getting the lowest rating of any live action Star Wars series so far. Marvel is going to, they've replaced Oscar Isaac.
Because he, ditched him for
word.
years.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
What is it with clickbaiters wanting to get rid of Oscar Isaac?
And the Wonder Twins film is dead.
Okay.
That's all up next on bad news.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk about Newsly for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, all right.
Let's do it.
All right, so if you're listening and you don't know what Newsly is, I'll explain. It's an all-in-one audio super app for both iOS and Android. And what it does is it picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment, and then it reads them to you in a natural human voice. And so what that means is that really for the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable all in one place.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to browse articles from topics you choose and then start playing. So you can stop scrolling and start listening. You can do other things throughout your day. And you can also follow any topic as specific as you'd like, from sports to science to even Bitcoin or even the best stuff like Star Wars, Marvel, DC whatever.
Especially.
DC. Star Wars.
Lord of the Rings. But it'll find you the latest articles on those topics and read them to you out loud.
And they have great podcasts on there.
They have amazing podcasts on there.
Explore the trending podcast from over 80 countries, and Tatooine Sons is now on there too. So
I think they're pretty cool.
Have digital radio.
Yeah, Tatooine Sons is one of the featured podcasts on Newsly. And
it's definitely worth listening to.
Which is another reason why it has become my default podcast app. You could try it out too, though. We want you to check it out. So download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me, or just go to the link in the description and use the promo code. It's Tatooine Sons, but it's spelled different. So it's TAT001NES0NS.
Just look in the show notes.
Just look in the show notes and copy and paste it. Then go to newsly.me and use it, because all of that effort will mean you will get 1 month free premium subscription. And then when you do that, let us know and tell us what you think.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
Obi-Wan Kenobi gets the lowest rating of any live action Star Wars series.
Wow, it's not even
already
out yet.
I know. If you're worried that this is about a Rotten Tomatoes score or an IMDb rating, you can set your worries aside. Fortunately, this isn't a critics rating of any sort. It's the official age rating for the show in the United Kingdom. While The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett were rated TV-14, the Kenobi series goes back to a more civilized age before Revenge of the Sith, and it receives a 9+ age rating, making this headline from Inside the Magic technically true, while just ambiguous enough to make it into bad news this week. Clickbait level 6.
Yeah. All right. Marvel replaces Oscar Isaac with new Moon Knight.
No way.
Since he left, they had to.
He went to Universal, like BB Nate said.
Yeah. This headline, also from Inside Magic, is all clickbait and literally no fact. Oscar Isaac hasn't been replaced in any way. There isn't any confirmation of a new Moon Knight. Just a fan theory that Jake Lockley might have actually made a brief appearance in episode 5. This is all speculation by a fan on Twitter based on a look on Oscar Isaac's face. Nothing has been confirmed. We'll probably talk about that a little bit more in the segment, but this gets a clickbait level of 10.
Yikes.
Because Oscar Isaac hasn't been replaced in any way.
No.
And he hasn't left for Universal.
That's right.
This next one, DC reportedly kills Wonder Twins film. While there have been numerous DC-related TV show cancellations in this past week.
Can we all have a moment of silence for Batwoman?
No, let's not have a moment of silence. Let's praise.
Okay.
This headline is speculation only as reported by CBR.com or Comic Book Report. Apparently, the crew of this show that is set to begin shooting in July was informed last week that the show isn't happening. But there's no official report. So until that happens, we'll just have to wait and see. So clickbait level of 7.
That's fair enough.
All right. I guess we're done with that.
Yes, sure.
It's time to move on.
Yes, sir.
To some Moon Knight. You ready to talk about Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Go, Sam.
All right, go, Sam. Are you ready for the segment?
I'm ready.
You should be. All right.
Public service announcement. I had 2 finals today. I have another one tomorrow and another on Wednesday, and not to mention several projects to be completed. So Dad wrote my segment about episode 5 of Moon Knight for me and completely plagiarized it from an article on ScreenRant.com. But they love us there, so they won't mind, and we gave them credit, so it's cool.
And they used our penultimate thing like 3 times in their article.
Jeez,
I said penultimate.
We're giving them credit. Why aren't they giving us credit?
They were just like, that word sounds smart.
All right.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
Your coming to us is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
That theory that we mentioned in the bad news segment.
It is an interesting theory.
And it has merit, I think, because I watched the episode again and I noticed something was off too. So in the scene where we think it's Mark is talking to Harrow, and he's kind of like all beat up, and then at the end he gets injected by that, I guess, sleeping drug or whatever. He has a very different personality. Well, not personality. Demeanor. Yeah. He talks differently. He acts differently. He even like grabs this like glass pyramid and like is about to use it as a weapon. He even like points it at his own face. Like he's
just acting way
extra crazy.
Yeah.
More
like he's almost already been drugged.
Right, exactly. So the theory is that we actually saw Jake Lockley there, or that third person.
Doesn't even have almost a little bit of a Brooklyn accent or a New York accent.
A little bit.
Almost, yeah.
It's
when
weird.
I watched it, I just thought it was maybe because he was drugged. I didn't really think about it, but with that in mind, it's really got some.
It'd be interesting to go back and watch that sequence.
Yeah, I want to get y'all's rating of this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 sand demon zombie.
I don't know if that's
things.
what they're actually called.
I don't remember. They had a name, but I don't remember.
They're basically the souls of the damned in this case.
That's not cool.
Nate, what do you think?
You go first, BB Nate.
I'll go 9. I really love this episode. I thought I'm a sucker for character development, and this was all that. So I loved it, and it was an interesting way to do character development, going back through the memories, and then the conflict between Mark and Steven when Steven trying to figure stuff out, but Mark is not letting him. It was all really interesting. I really liked it.
I'll give it an 8, which is high for me.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
With it, I enjoyed
IGN.
it. No, stop it. I did. I enjoyed it.
Even IGN gave this episode a 9, though. So.
I was a little. I'm just gonna. Am I the only person on the planet that doesn't get the hippo goddess? That doesn't understand it.
She's just the one who guides the souls of the dead.
I know. I just don't get her.
That's
her
whole point.
I don't get it. But anyway, other than
comedic
that,
relief in a very dark episode, Dad.
I guess so.
She was necessary.
She was very necessary. This episode
was pretty rough.
Was rough.
I guess.
Anyway. I give it an 8.5. Split the difference. Yeah, I thought it was great. It answered some questions, left us with some more. But it was definitely necessary. I give it the 8.5 because I'm worried about how they're going to be able to wrap this all up in time to finish in just one episode. I know they can do it, but it just feels like they're cutting it a little close. But
all right.
So we see in this episode, like whenever things start to get out of control in the memories, Mark and Steven,
while they're
processing them, one of them ends up in Harrow's office and is told that they're crazy and they're the original and not the other. It kind of seems like he's gaslighting both of them. But why do you guys think that this keeps happening, Nate?
I don't know. I think that the real trap is this whole Harrow weird world, and I'm not quite sure why it would be happening when they're losing control of what's reality. I think it's going back to them not understanding the personalities, both of them, because in this episode it was making sure that we knew that Steven was one type of personality and Mark was another, and then when they go back into that world, they're merged again, or at least there's one of them that's awake at that time. So I think it's just when they lose control of that thought that they're they're split. They're two different people. They start to go back to that place. I don't know. It's very confusing, but
Dad?
I think that this is in this episode. It seems to happen every time that they're facing the reality that they're dead. Or something like
does.
That. Mm-hmm. And so I think that this is a way for them to sort of reset and not process the fact that they could be they're dead, so they would rather be insane than dead. And so they keep going back into this, and that's how they're processing. I don't know. That's the way it comes across.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of just whenever it becomes too traumatic, I'm trying to remember what causes them to leave or whatever. And I thought I remembered one of them was when Steven was asking Mark to show him what was happening in the room or whatever. And I think that's one of the moments when he wakes up as well. So I think it's just whenever they are
any kind of traumatic
forced
moment.
to face a difficult truth in this, and it's just easier to go back into,
or maybe it's pushing them forward to face that truth because of how they know Arthur's a bad guy. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's possible.
And like I mentioned, throughout this series, there's two things are clear in the relationship between Mark and Steven. First, Mark is the protector of Steven.
Mm-hmm.
And second, Mark is clearly hiding something. And we learn about that in this.
And he's been that way, not just in these scenes.
No, throughout the series.
Right.
And this is, but like we said, this is demonstrated a lot in this episode. Right. Why is Mark trying so hard to keep Steven from seeing their childhood?
I think it was because it was so traumatic to Mark, and since Mark did create Steven to escape from his childhood and his trauma, he didn't want Steven to get affected by that, because in some selfish way he wanted Steven to stay innocent, I guess is a good way of saying it. He wanted him to stay pure without that, but him knowing it would not allow that to happen anymore, knowing that he wasn't the first personality and all that stuff. And I think, but he also wanted to, like what we were saying, protect Steven from knowing that ever happened to him, because he always loved his mom. I mean, he calls her all the time, even though it's probably just voicemails. We don't know who is on the other line, but it's really interesting to see him wanting to protect Steven even in the afterlife.
I was a little confused by the purpose of Steven being created, because I got the impression that Steven was the one that was taking the abuse. But is that what you've seen?
Well, in the scene right before his mom comes, Steven does reappear. But for whatever reason, it seems like Steven doesn't remember that, and it's Mark that remembers it. So I get your confusion.
Yeah, I get the confusion there.
So Steven is the persona that Mark creates in order to have a safe place to go after the abuse or whatever, where he's not experienced or during. During it. Okay.
Yeah, but Mark still remembers anyway, I guess, and Steven obviously he doesn't. So I'm not sure how that works or why that's the case. But it just seems like
because he said at the end of the episode their lives started to merge at that point at the funeral is when he started to remember things, is when Steven was starting to remember things. So that was when his memories started. He still had an overall life that he kind of remembered, but it was already based in him.
Oh, but that's when he lost control.
Exactly.
Okay.
It was a heavy episode.
Oh yeah, it was so really heavy. Tough
with it.
Yeah. One thing that is big in this episode obviously is those like scales of justice or whatever, right? And they put both of the hearts on there, right? Both Mark and Steven, almost implying it's like two different souls or parts of the same soul. But it feels weird to have Steven kind of fall off the boat and be obliterated and not Mark, because like throughout this whole series, they've been saying Steven's the pure one. He's the nice one. Like he didn't even want to like fight the little jackal thing. And Mark is clearly the one who would have more red in his ledger. So why?
To use a Marvel reference, right?
Right. So why do you think the scales evened out when Steven disappeared?
Because Steven is the imbalance.
Okay.
Steven's not real.
Yeah.
It was a way for Mark to not have to deal with
And so it's literally it's an imbalance. Steven's existence is an imbalance. That's the way it would be defined, like medically, as a medical imbalance. And so Steven, while I think that this episode does an amazing job of explaining Steven and making you understand why Mark created Steven and the purpose, I guess, of Steven, Steven isn't real.
Right.
And so as long as Steven is around, there's this imbalance with it. And that makes it really interesting if this Jake character really truly is in existence, because that means Mark, that moment that you just mentioned a minute ago, BB Nate, where at the funeral is where they started to merge. It started not being separate, very separate lives, and they started coming together and interacting and things. Yes. I don't think that that's happened really with Jake enough for it to be obvious that Jake.
I'm not even sure Mark knows that Jake exists.
I think the one thing that shows that is the fact of when Mark is finding Steven in this asylum at the end of episode 4, he goes into that room because it's being knocked on and it's slightly open. Now the other sarcophagus isn't really being knocked on all that much, and it is completely locked shut. So I think that shows, that symbolism shows that there isn't known quite yet.
So here's my Star Wars brain coming into this here. You've got
because
Steven,
it's all about Star Wars,
right? Or balance. You could go Thanos, I guess. But you've got Steven, right? He's the pure, the innocent, the naive. What if, as a result of creating that, there was this negative, like,
I see exactly where you're going. It makes sense.
Jake is the exact opposite of Steven. He's twisted, evil, violent, vengeful, all those opposites of what Steven is. So what if like that's a byproduct?
It's another personality that is created to not protect Mark emotionally, but to protect Mark physically. And so it becomes this aggressive, battling type personality.
Yeah, so what if the reason why the scales didn't balance is that third heart wasn't there? Because you'd have you got Mark in the middle, and you got Steven way on one side, and Jake in this case way on the other. If all three hearts were together, maybe that would have balanced the scales.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing about, but now, it's impossible to determine how long Mark has been in the underworld. We can tell there's a scene where it's Harrow's judging the souls before they've had their time, and they're just being sent directly to the sands. But if we've learned anything from the MCU, what might be a few seconds in one situation could be 5 years in another, or 30 even in the quantum realm.
Right.
So do you think this will play into where these events are taking place on the MCU timeline?
No, I think that the whole thing about this is that they have to get back in time to stop Arthur soon at that point. Because I think that one of the big things about this that we don't realize is he has Amit's avatar right at the end of episode 4.
I thought Layla had had the statue.
He's there. Layla makes herself known, doesn't she?
No,
I
don't think so.
At the end when she shot, I don't know how he gets it then, but he gets it soon enough. And so I think that's either this whole point is that they're going to be there way after, but then we see in the trailer for the finale that he's fighting him. So
right.
It's really just dependent on how they figure it out. It's definitely confusing.
Dad?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of wonder if they aren't playing a trick on the viewer with the MCU, where it fits into the MCU timeline, and they could have a situation where the whole blip goes by or something. I mean, it's weird because you don't know how long it takes for them to go through this period in the underworld or whatever. So I just think it's an interesting idea for sure.
I personally think it's not very long. I mean, let's just be honest. His body's up there, probably decomposing at the moment. So I don't think it can be.
What if the snap happens as he's falling?
And so he gets dusted.
So he gets 5 years, and then he blips back.
And I think we're getting a little too complicated here. I think another reason why they're not going to do that is they said you don't really need to know much more about the MCU to be able to follow this.
Okay.
So fair. I think it's just, maybe
if you're watching Moon Knight, you know about the blip.
True. But, yeah, but, in this episode, we talked about it. Steven falls off the boat and becomes sand or that statue or whatever, right? But, this could be a trick. He doesn't fade away like the others we saw in this episode. And like half of all the world's population did that with a blip.
Right.
And then
they
came back.
Again.
Right. And they came back.
Right.
So do you think Steven will return in the finale?
I do. I really think that you can't have Mark without Steven, and that's what they've made very obvious in the show and very obvious in the last episode. I think we're going to see a lot of Mark trying to go back for Steven, trying to save him because he feels somewhat responsible for creating Steven, because technically he is. So I think it's going to be the main beginning of the next episode. The finale is going to be him trying to save Steven somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure Steven's going to return because he's such a cool character, and I don't think they're going to write him out.
Right.
It, so.
I agree.
And I mean, this is kind of insensitive, but like, he did create him, right? I mean, he made him up. What's stop him from making him up again in a way? And then our last glimpse of Mark in this episode, which was really frustrating, was him standing in the field of reeds, right? The Egyptian version of paradise. Is he dead? Is Mark dead?
No, he can't be. Unless he somehow comes back from the dead twice, because apparently he was dead before when Khonshu was saving him, ish.
He was on death's doorstep.
He was on death's doorstep. He wasn't quite judged, but I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of Mark trying to escape that. I don't think he's dead. I really don't. I think that was the main point of.
I don't know. I mean, he's in the underworld and he's going through the gate of Osiris. That's death.
If I were to this is the most convincing, hey, this character is dead I've ever seen in the MCU.
Right. Exactly. So,
I mean, obviously he comes back. We know that. But how he's going to manage that is pretty difficult. And then let's just real quick, I want to get y'all's reactions of the trailer for the season finale. Nate, first, just like few seconds blurb, go.
I thought it was a great trailer. Even though most of it was stuff we've already seen, I'm super excited for the stuff that we did see, the new stuff, the fight scenes, and the fact that Mark will be getting out, obviously.
But there's more asylum scenes too.
There is, so we're going to be seeing some more of that. So it's really interesting to figure out what's going to happen. I think they have a lot to cover. I'm super excited.
It's a cool trailer. It's got purple magic, which is cool. It's got him falling at the same time in the asylum as his body seems to be falling in the real world. So that I think is where we're going to start to see the answers to some of this that's going on there. It's setting the battle there. I mean, just they're running up and down a pyramid and battling each other.
Yeah,
I don't know what else is going to happen, but that's cool right there. So
yeah,
that's awesome. All right, well, let's talk a little bit. No, actually, we already did. So let's just jump into a bit of a dad moment.
I am your father.
There is a weird plot hole in the MCU after this episode. If Tony is dead, the question that people have to ask is, do his skills balance? Or is his experience in death different than Mark's? Is everyone's afterlife just a gamble and you have to just hope it works out for you? Or, are they all different, with this? That's the problem with all these, with this idea that all religions are fine. It doesn't matter what path you go down, type mindset. It doesn't really make things better or more clear. It makes it confusing and it makes it scary.
Yeah.
And that's why, in the scriptures, in the Christian Bible, it says Jesus, was clear on this. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I know it's not what a lot of people want to hear, but if, at least from our perspective, and I know that it's not popular, but it's what we believe is true. So, that's all I have to say about that.
That's that. All right. Well, people joked all week about how long this finale has to be to wrap everything up. But whether it's 30 minutes or 3 hours, there's quite a lot to look forward to.
That is very true.
It's going to be awesome. We got some movie moments going on in here. There's only really one movie coming out next week.
Really?
There's no trailers coming out that we really want to talk about. Because I did watch one trailer and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that on the show. And nothing really changed at the box office.
At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
One small release this week.
Nobody's really going to talk about it.
Nobody's really excited, but it's called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's about this guy named Dr. Stephen Strange, and he casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff.
Guess she's not the bad guy.
Maybe.
We'll see. All right.
The director is Sam Raimi. The cast is Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. The studio is Disney or Marvel.
It's Disney.
Disney. And it is rated PG-13 for intense sequences of violence and action, frightening images, and some language. We might go see this.
Twice that it's already booked, right?
Yes, twice already.
Definitely going to see that.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Super excited. But for trailers, there's nothing.
There was a couple that not for movies we would watch.
Yeah, not
so
movies
we won't talk about them on this show.
No, but for box office this week, The Bad Guys still pulling ahead. Good for you. 16 million domestic, 118 million worldwide for their whole run. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 still 11 million domestic with 323 million worldwide. And Secrets of Dumbledore,
it passed the original Sonic movie.
That's great. Secrets of Dumbledore only made an 8 million domestic, but a 329 million worldwide, because I guess it's more popular overseas than it is in the US.
I think the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing is hurting this movie.
I definitely think so too.
Because Johnny Depp originally played the
That's right.
the bad guy.
He was
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yikes.
All right.
It's my turn.
Let's do this.
Yes.
We've been waiting all night. Go.
Doctor Strange 2 is almost here, and as the resident Doctor Strange fan, I'm super nervous for this movie. So let's get into why.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
It's another version. They would be very interesting.
But we are getting Captain Carter because we've seen that in the spots.
Scarlet, or this version of Wanda, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah,
right?
who's already upgraded her suit since the movie, since the TV show.
And then you've got zombie versions of different characters.
Those might be the same characters as we see in this.
This is the first film that's including characters, or at least versions of characters from.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, on my flights this weekend, I rewatched the entire What If series.
Good for you.
And I want to tell you, it did feel like the writer's room for Doctor Strange 2 was like, just do that.
Pick that guy, pick that.
It's like, well, we'll change his name, but that's it feels like that's what they did.
Really?
So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, how excited are y'all for Doctor Strange 2 on a scale of 1 to 10 timelines?
Multiverse timelines.
Multiverses.
All right.
Multiverse. I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited. I think it's interesting. I want to see how much it brings in this multiverse, because it kind of is like where you go after Spider-Man. Like that just kind of like feels like the top at this point. I mean, we know that there's almost certainly going to be Professor X, which is huge, and other elements like that. But it's just like, how do you top that? I'm still excited. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Dad?
I'm going to go 7.5.
All right.
I'm excited. I really am excited. Probably more excited now that I watched What If and Doctor Strange again this weekend while flying around the country. So I'm excited about the series. But I've you've tempered my enthusiasm, BB Nate, in our conversations because you've got some concerns on that.
Yeah, it's kind of affecting me.
So why don't we have a little counseling right now and let you get it all out?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna choose the 3 big things that are kind of making me a little worried. The first one is Wanda. I'm really worried about Wanda being in this because I feel like she might get a little too much screen time or focus when the main focus of this movie, should be Doctor Strange after all. Now, I definitely could be wrong on this, and I sure hope I am. But Dad, do you think this concern is warranted, or just me being oversensitive to Wanda because I have such high hopes for this movie?
I think it's It's both.
Okay.
You know, I think that you're overly sensitive to this because Doctor Strange is your favorite MCU character, and you think that the original Doctor Strange movie is just the greatest superhero movie other than Batman.
No. I think that it's just the greatest MCU movie.
Okay, greatest MCU movie. That's fair. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll leave it in that. With that, and I do think that that Wanda is just so front and center in all the marketing and in the trailers and the TV spots and everything else that you do feel this way, and you have valid reasons behind it. I do want to remind you that Doctor Strange had a lot of front and center in the marketing going into No Way Home, and he was limited in that movie to this is kind of a perfect amount in that. I also I'm curious, you know, if you felt that way going into Civil War.
What I was gonna talk about that. Civil War was Captain America Civil War. That's what it was about, and yet it had all the other
it had everybody,
right?
But if you're thinking about it, it never took away from Cap.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make. It had a lot of Iron Man, a lot of scenes with just Iron Man and other Avengers where Captain America was not present, but it was still a Captain America film. Still felt like Captain America. So they could do that in this film.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it is impossible, and I'm just it is a concern of mine that that won't happen, because that's the Russo brothers that did Civil War.
That's true.
So they know what they're doing with these type of characters. This is Sam Raimi. It's a little bit difficult to go jump into the MCU with the thing that's literally kicking off the next saga of this franchise. It's the biggest movie we've gotten yet leading up to this new part of the MCU.
You're trying to say it's bigger than No Way Home?
Yes. No Way Home was finishing up and setting up a new character for Spider-Man. This is starting up what the next beginning of the saga is going to be for the MCU.
I think he's got a point with that. Yeah,
I really do. But Sam, even if Wanda gets a lot of screen time, do you think it would take away from Doctor Strange in any way, or do you think that they can do it right like they did with Civil War?
No, I don't think it would take away. I think it would be like Civil War in that it is moving forward the story in the way it needs to. While you know, it may not be Strange front and center the whole time. That's just not possible in every movie. So I think you might, for people like Dad and I, we might think the amount of Wanda is just right, but you, since you're already a little on edge about it, might think even just a little is too much. I'm not saying you're going to be unbiased. I'm just saying that there could be that influence there. I think it'll be okay, and I think it'll be handled right. I think she is a good fit for this movie too, with what her character is now.
I honestly think that from watching the trailers, and I deep dived into them today, I think she's the bad guy, or at least a part of being the bad guy.
Well, so was Iron Man in Civil War. No. If you consider it like
bad guy. Like
she goes evil. Like she becomes evil. Yeah,
she's attacking the Illuminati. If you watch the trailers, she's attacking that group. She's breaking in. She's blowing things up.
Maybe she's breaking Steven out.
No, because I feel like that just wouldn't work out. I don't know. It's going to be really weird. I think that she's a little strange.
Do you think that they've revealed too much in the trailers?
No, I don't, because we don't know nearly enough to know what's going on in this movie. I don't think so at all.
That's weird.
No, but this next one, I'm really worried about Sam Raimi directing this movie. I'm gonna get a lot of backlash from people on this one, but I'm very worried. I'm not the biggest fan of the Spider-Man movies. They're actually like my least favorite Spider-Man movies. Not that I don't like them. I'm just not a huge fan of them. Yeah, just they're fine, but I think that they're pretty mediocre. Sam Raimi is an amazing director. Don't get me wrong, but he's done amazing things like The Evil Dead, which is undeniably one of the biggest zombie movies of all time. Changed the whole genre forever. It's completely insane, but that's not going to translate to the MCU. I'm willing to give it a shot, but I'm just very worried on this. Sam, what are your opinions on the Raimi Spider-Man movies?
It's interesting. I'm at this weird age group where I'm in between the Sam Raimi movies coming out and the Amazing Spider-Man movies coming out. I think they're okay. the first one's pretty good. I think it tells a great story.
First one is good.
The second one, I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. It's fine. And then the third one.
Well, you never even saw the end of the third one. You screamed.
I've seen the third one.
Jesus told you to leave the theater.
Well, yes. But,
you were traumatized.
I mean, we recently rewatched it before No Way Home, and it's just, it's awkward. It's weird with like the whole like Bully Maguire stuff. So, I mean, that's just what it's known as. So, I think that a lot of the praise for those movies can come from nostalgia, and there are good things about the movies. Don't get me wrong. But I get your concerns big time. He's done superhero movies before. In our opinion, they weren't the best. So you're a little nervous about him taking it with this. It's been a few years though, since he's done anything like this.
That's also a worry.
And it's
is he out of practice?
It's a different character. It's in a different universe. It's already established with stuff. So Kevin, Feige may have stepped in and like helped guide him. We don't know what the behind the scenes was. Just because Sam Raimi's the name front and center doesn't mean he was solely in charge of it.
I agree. And leading into that, Dad, do you think that Sam Raimi can do this character and the universe justice, or will he fall short?
There's a reason he got 3 Spider-Man movies. There's a reason he has directed the films that he's directed. He is a good director that people have a lot of confidence in.
But he has a big deal with this movie. So
no pressure.
It is a big deal. And it's a bigger deal when Disney, the mouse, is behind it. And when Kevin Feige is putting all his faith and trust in you with it. And in my opinion, the track record of 25 plus films now, is that where we're at with this?
I think we're a little over 25 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is, there's been maybe 2 or 3 misses in the MCU.
Yeah.
You've got Thor Dark World and Eternals.
Yeah, those are only 2 misses. So
some people don't like the first Thor very good.
That and Iron Man 2 and 3 aren't super well received. Okay.
But the point I'm making is that overall the track record is pretty strong. So I'm going to put my faith and confidence in this. If it was Star Wars, we'd say in Filoni we trust, and this one I'll say in Feige we trust.
And one other point I want to add to this is, you've said yourself, Nate, Sam Raimi is known for his horror films. That's what really put him on the map and what he excels in. And you said that this is supposed to be the first horror-ish MCU film, or at least a scary feeling MCU film. And you can get that vibe from the trailers for sure. So I think he's got a little bit of a home field advantage with this. He's already got some experience with the superhero films, but then he's really experienced with scary films, horror films. So I think he'll be okay.
I think so too. And then the next one's a big deal for Sammy and I.
Yeah.
Danny Elfman. This is a humongous worry for me because it's really, it made me super sad when I heard about it. So Sam and I are huge soundtrack people, and we love the first Doctor Strange soundtrack.
It's really good.
A lot. But the composer has changed along with the director. Now, this is concerning because the music can make or break a movie. And Danny has had a bit of a miss recently with his last big superhero movie being the 2017 Justice League. And that score was just really, really bad. Sam, what do you think of Danny Elfman doing this soundtrack?
Yeah, it's concerning. I'm trying to remember what films he's done. He did the original Spider-Mans, right?
Yes.
He did, was it Nightmare?
He did Batman 89.
Batman 89, great score.
Great score.
He did, Nightmare on Elm Street, or not, Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean,
he did
and that's everyone loves that soundtrack. He's got talent, but we, like all those films we mentioned there, a little ways ago.
Yeah.
So I can see the concern, and I can't really say what's going to happen one way or another. The trailer music, that wasn't done by Danny, was it? Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, if it's anything like the trailer music, I think we'll be just fine. But if it's anything, I've just heard one track from the Justice League, and it was really weird. It was really weird. But I think I'm hoping he'll handle it right. It's not going to be Michael Giacchino level. Let's just be honest.
Just keep the theme.
I think
That's
they will.
one thing I ask.
Well, I don't even remember if they kept the theme through the Iron Man movies. I don't think they did. I think every movie had a bit of a different theme.
But even No Way Home kept the theme for Doctor Strange.
Well, it was the same director doing it, the same composer.
That's true.
Who wrote
that's 2 different movies that did it.
That's true. I agree with you. I hope they keep the theme, and I think it would be good. But we can't count on it.
Yeah, I think you've got to be careful about putting any weight into anything that came out of the 2017 theatrical cut of Justice League.
That's a good point.
That was a disaster from start to finish. Everything about that theatrical cut is a joke. It is one of the worst movies ever made. And if you were asked to
completely serious,
I am being very serious. The 2017.
I really need to watch this.
It's horrible.
Compared to the Snyder cut.
Okay. Anyway. Terrible. Okay. Yeah. So
compared to Eternals.
Oh, it's way
worse.
Really?
Yeah. So, the challenge is, with composing a score for that disaster of a film even maybe Michael Giacchino couldn't even handle that. So
that's a good point.
I think the one problem though with the Justice League soundtrack is that he decided to throw in the Superman theme, the Christopher Reeve Superman theme, and the Michael Keaton Batman theme, and it didn't fit. It felt phoned in completely.
The whole movie was phoned in.
The whole movie was phoned in, but he's a huge composer, and that is
I don't think you can compare to that.
Red on his ledger. There we go. We'll use that. Dad, do you think there's a reason that Sam Raimi chose Danny Elfman besides working with him in the past? Do you think?
I think that Michael Giacchino is the busiest guy in the world when it comes to composing music right now, and I think that it got to the point where probably Giacchino and Raimi had a conversation, and with Kevin Feige and some of the people, and they were like, I can't. I don't have this.
He left though when the other director left.
Yeah, but that's because when you've been working with another director as much as he's worked with that other director, then the conversations are short, and you're on this. Literally, I know this is a music joke, but you're on the same page. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a music joke?
Yeah, on the same page of music.
Reading on the same page.
No, you're on the same page of music.
That makes so much more sense now.
Right. So for him to come in and do this film, along with working with Sam Raimi and a director he hasn't familiar with, it would have been much more complicated for both of them. It makes more sense for them to work together. So do I think that there's a reason beyond them having worked together in the past? No, not really. I think that was the basic reason.
Okay. I got a couple just side questions because while we're on this topic, do you think we ever get Hans doing an MCU film?
No, I think that
that's not his style.
It's not his style. He doesn't really do a ton of big mainstream superhero movies.
That's a good point.
I just don't think that would be something he would like to do.
And do you think Ludwig is going to ever come back and do another one?
I think he would.
He'll probably do the second Black Panther.
I think definitely. So. I think he really enjoyed it.
I'd like to see him in more MCU films.
Me too.
More
I would love it too.
Because he's good.
I really would. And so, it is almost time to break the multiverse open. And no matter what, I am excited to see another Marvel movie in theaters. So make sure to get your tickets to see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness opening May 6th nationwide.
I want to see it on the 5th.
We get to see it on the 5th.
Okay, we do get to see it on the 5th.
All right, that's awesome.
Revenge is the 5th.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, Ant-Man 3 and Captain Marvel 2 swap release dates.
Do you think that has I think I told you, Nate, what my theory is on that. Do you think that you have any idea other than just making a decision?
I have no clue what that could be about.
I think that it has to do with they're bringing Kang the Conqueror into the story in a bigger way. And so they want to introduce him into this earlier, 7 or 8 months early or something like that.
Yeah, it's really early.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And on the track of Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 set photo shows Chris Pratt in comic accurate Star-Lord costume, and it looks awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I can't wait. I'm so excited and super sad that this will be the last time we see the Guardians.
Oh, that is sad.
This is it. He's finishing. James Gunn said they're finishing up the trilogy.
But we also get a holiday special before that.
That's true. Star Wars comics writer Charles Soule is now, it just sort of kind of came out in the panel information for Star Wars Celebration.
Whoopsie.
He's now a Lucasfilm creative consultant.
Wow.
Which is Charles on the same Soule. Kind of, not cool. Too far different than what they did with Dave Filoni. David.
That feels weird to say, really even though it's still technically correct.
Well, he goes by Dave.
David Filoni.
His name is Dave. All right. You can call him Mr. Filoni. All right.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave? Mr. Filoni. All right. Friday's episode is Luke Skywalker.
You good?
I'm tired. Super cosplayer Fluke Skywalker. Super fun conversation. Great guy. All about charity and wanting to protect the good name of Mr. Mark Hamill. It was a lot of fun. We have our Star Wars Day bonus episode coming out Wednesday, so that's tomorrow for all of you listening to this on the day that this is released. And hopefully, if you're listening to this right now and you have not gotten in, if it's Tuesday morning and you're listening to this, then you get an extra chance to get in a audio and voice memo with your reasons why you love The Last Jedi, because I'm sure at this point I have not edited this episode for Wednesday. With that, Saturday, May 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern, The Last Jedi watch party on streamlounge.io. Make sure you download that and get ready ahead of time. Thank you to Newsly for partnering with us on this episode. Can't wait to continue to do that. I hope you guys check out all the things that they're doing on that. Star Wars Celebration Meetup, Biggs Fullerton, Wednesday, May 5th, 25th. Not Wednesday, May 5th. That's Thursday.
Really soon.
Yeah, it is really soon. It's like less than 4 weeks away, 3 weeks away. We're going to be getting ready to leave for
That's
celebration with that. And it's Sam's 21st birthday party, but you're not allowed to get him drunk. All right. Because that's not good. All right. Anyway, I'm talking to you, LJ. All right. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for joining us. I guess that's going to do it. And thanks for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
If you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, the show is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world, so be sure to like us on Facebook and join our Facebook discussion group. Lots of fun memes and stuff getting shared there. And you can follow us on Twitter to get in on all of the action too, and keep up to date with everything we've got going on over there at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. Don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode, and give us a review, please, on Apple Podcasts. We haven't had a review in a very long time.
It's very sad.
I'm starting to feel like you don't love us, but anyway, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you prefer. All right. Anything else you guys would like to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep, yep.